The golden balloons floating from the ceiling should have made me happy. Instead, they felt like a cruel joke waiting to be revealed. My name is David Miller, and after 30 years at Westfield Industries, I was finally getting the recognition I deserve. At least, that's what I thought. The conference room buzzed with excitement as my colleagues gathered around tables covered in white tablecloths and champagne glasses. My wife Linda squeezed my hand, her eyes sparkling with pride. Our kids had driven 3 hours from college just for this moment. Even my 70-year-old father wore his best suit, telling everyone within earshot about his son's big day. 30 years, my coworker Mike said, raising his glass. You've seen this company grow from 20 employees to over 300. You practically built the West Coast division from scratch. I smiled, but my stomach churned with nervous energy. Mr. Harrison, our CEO, had pulled me aside last month with a promise that made my heart race. David, he'd whispered, the regional director position is yours. We'll announce it tonight at your anniversary party. Regional director. The title I'd dreamed about for a decade. The promotion that would finally prove all those late nights and missed family dinners meant something. Jessica Walsh, our 22-year-old intern, bounced between tables with a bright smile. She'd been here exactly 4 months, fresh out of college with big ideas and even bigger confidence. Nice kid, but she reminded me of myself 30 years ago, eager to prove herself, convinced she could change the world overnight. David. Harrison's booming voice cut through the chatter. Everyone, gather around. It's time for the big announcement. My pulse quickened. Linda grabbed my arm, her excitement radiating through her grip. The room fell silent as Harrison stepped forward, his silver hair perfectly styled, his expensive suit commanding attention. Ladies and gentlemen, he began, we're here to celebrate David Miller's incredible 30-year journey with Westfield Industries. David has been the backbone of our operations, the man everyone turns to when things get tough. I felt my chest swell with pride. This was it. The moment I'd worked 3 decades for. Which is why, Harrison continued, his voice building dramatically, I'm thrilled to announce our new regional director. The room held its breath. My heart hammered against my ribs. Linda's grip tightened on my arm. Harrison's eyes swept across the room, landing on me for just a moment. Then his gaze shifted and his smile widened. Jessica Walsh. Time stopped. The words hit me like a physical blow, knocking the air from my lungs. Jessica's face lit up with surprise and delight as she stepped forward, her young hands trembling with excitement. The applause was scattered and confused. People looked between Jessica and me, trying to understand what had just happened. My wife's grip on my arm loosened, and I felt her shock radiate through the silence. But Harrison wasn't finished destroying my world. Jessica has brought incredible innovation and fresh thinking to our team, Harrison continued, his voice growing stronger as he warmed to his theme. Sometimes, experience can make us stuck in old patterns. We need young blood to shake things up. The room remained uncomfortably quiet. Jessica stepped forward, her face flushed with excitement and nervousness. Thank you, Mr. Harrison. I'm honored by this opportunity, and I look forward to learning from experienced colleagues like David. Learning from me. The irony tasted bitter in my mouth. Harrison raised his champagne glass high. To new leadership and fresh perspectives, he declared. The room reluctantly joined the toast, glasses clinking with forced enthusiasm. I lifted my own glass with hands that shook slightly, the golden liquid catching the light like liquid mockery. My father's proud smile had disappeared, replaced by confusion and embarrassment. Linda stared at the floor, her cheeks red with humiliation. Our kids exchanged bewildered glances, clearly unsure how to react to their father's public dismissal. David, Harrison called out, his voice carrying across the room with false warmth, you've been such a wonderful mentor to our younger staff. I know you'll continue supporting Jessica as she grows into this role. Mentor. Support. The words echoed in my head like a death sentence. My own anniversary party had become someone else's celebration, my career milestone transformed into a launching pad for an intern who'd been here less time than some people's probationary period. Of course, I managed, forcing my voice to remain steady. Jessica deserves all the support she can get. Harrison beamed at my response, completely missing the careful wording. That's the spirit. Jessica, why don't you share some of your exciting plans for the department? Jessica's eyes lit up as she launched into a presentation I'd never heard before. Well, I've been analyzing our client management systems, and I think we need a complete overhaul. David's approach has been very traditional, but I believe we can modernize everything. Traditional. The word stung worse than old-fashioned would have. My traditional approach had generated $42 million in revenue last year. My traditional methods had built relationships with clients who'd been loyal to us for over a decade. Change is exciting, Jessica continued, gesturing enthusiastically. I want to implement digital solutions, streamline our processes, and really shake up how we do business. The younger employees nodded approvingly. The older ones, my peers who'd worked alongside me for years, looked uncomfortable but said nothing. Office politics had taught them to keep their mouths shut when management made decisions. Harrison clapped his hands together. Brilliant! David, you must be so proud to see fresh ideas taking root in the department you've nurtured. I smiled, but inside, a cold calculation had begun. Harrison thought he was being clever, pushing out the old guard in favor of youth and innovation. He'd forgotten one crucial detail. I wasn't just an employee who'd been here 30 years. I was the person who knew where all the bodies were buried. My wife refused to speak to me during the entire drive home. The silence in our car felt heavier than the humiliation I'd just endured. Linda stared out the passenger window while I gripped the steering wheel, replaying Harrison's words over and over. 30 years, I finally whispered. Don't, Linda said sharply. Just don't. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. 30 years of building client relationships from nothing. 30 years of staying late to fix problems that no one else wanted to touch. 30 years of being the person everyone called when deals were falling apart or clients were threatening to leave. Back home, I sat in my study staring at my laptop screen. My email inbox showed 347 unread messages from the weekend. Clients asking questions, vendors needing approvals, problems that required my personal attention. Jessica would inherit all of this tomorrow, along with my office, my accounts, and my title. The phone rang. Tom Morrison from Morrison Industries, our biggest client. David, congratulations on your anniversary party. 30 years is incredible. Thanks, Tom. Listen, I've got some concerns about the Henderson project. Can we meet this week? You know how I prefer face-to-face conversations for sensitive matters. I paused. Should I tell him about Jessica's promotion? Actually, Tom, you might want to connect with Jessica Walsh. She's taking over as regional director. Silence. Who's Jessica Walsh? Our intern. Well, former intern. She's been promoted. David, I've been working with you for 12 years. I don't know any Jessica Walsh. Are you leaving the company? No, I'm staying. Just in a different capacity. I don't understand. You've handled our account perfectly. Why would they promote someone I've never met? I didn't have an answer that made sense. After we hung up, I opened my desk drawer and pulled out a thick folder labeled Client Contacts, Personal. Inside were hundreds of business cards, handwritten notes, and personal details about every major client I'd worked with over 3 decades. Tom Morrison's wife had cancer 2 years ago. I'd sent flowers and personally managed his account during her treatment. Martha Henderson at Henderson Corp trusted me because I'd flown to Denver during a blizzard to save $1 million deal when their previous vendor failed. Robert Chun at Pacific Ventures only did business with people he could golf with on weekends. These weren't just professional relationships. They were friendships built on trust, reliability, and personal connection. Things that couldn't be transferred in a training manual or explained in a PowerPoint presentation. My phone buzzed with a text from Mike. "Can't believe what happened tonight. Harrison's lost his mind." Then another from Sarah in accounting. "We're all shocked. This doesn't make sense." And another from Kevin in sales. "Jessica seems nice, but she doesn't know our clients like you do." I closed my laptop and walked upstairs. Linda was already in bed, her back turned toward my side. I changed into pajamas and slipped under the covers, staring at the ceiling in the darkness. Tomorrow, I would train Jessica to take over everything I'd built. I would smile, be professional, and hand over 3 decades of institutional knowledge to someone who thought experience was less valuable than fresh ideas. But Harrison had made one critical mistake when he humiliated me in front of my family and colleague. He'd forgotten that loyalty works both ways. Monday arrived with Jessica knocking on my office door at 8 sharp, clutching a bright yellow notebook and wearing a confident smile that reminded me of myself 3 decades ago. She looked around my office like she was already redecorating it in her mind. "Ready to learn everything you know?" she asked cheerfully. I gestured to the chair across from my desk. "Where would you like to start?" "Client accounts, definitely. I've got some amazing ideas for improving our approach." I pulled up the Morrison Industries file on my computer screen. "This is our largest account. Tom Morrison is very particular about how he likes to work. He prefers face-to-face meetings, hates email for important decisions, and always wants to review contracts in person." Jessica scrolled through her phone while I talked. "That sounds super inefficient. I'll set up video calls and digital contract reviews. Much more streamlined. Tom's old school. He values personal relationships. Everyone says that about older clients, but once they see how much time digital solutions save, they adapt." Jessica made a note in her yellow pad. "What about this Henderson account? Martha Henderson is dealing with a quality control issue that could result in legal action. She's been with us for 8 years, and this is the first major problem we've had. I usually handle sensitive situations like this personally. I'll send her an email with our standard quality assurance procedures. Transparency is key." I watched Jessica miss every nuance, every relationship detail that kept our clients loyal. Martha prefers phone calls for serious issues. She's very emotional about this problem because it affected her company's reputation. "Emotions shouldn't drive business decisions," Jessica said dismissively. "I'll keep everything professional and fact-based." We spent 2 hours going through client files. Jessica took notes on processes and procedures, but completely ignored my warnings about personal preferences, relationship history, and the delicate balance required to manage million-dollar accounts. "This is so helpful," she said, closing her notebook. "I can already see where we can modernize everything. Your approach has been very traditional, but I think efficiency improvements will really impress these clients." Traditional. That word again. I bit my tongue and smiled. "I'm sure you'll bring fresh perspective to the role." "Exactly. Harrison said you've been doing things the same way for decades. Time for some innovation." After Jessica left, I opened my desk drawer and pulled out my personal phone. The one with direct numbers for every major client I'd worked with over 30 years. Numbers they'd given me for emergencies, personal situations, and urgent business matters. I didn't plan to call them. Not yet. But I wanted to know they were there. My work phone rang. "Martha Henderson." "David, I just got the strangest email from someone named Jessica Walsh about our quality issue. She sent me a form letter with standard procedures." "A form letter? After everything we've been through together?" "Jessica is taking over my regional responsibilities." "What? Why? David, you personally flew to Denver during that blizzard to save our Peterson contract. You stayed up all night redesigning our specifications. You sent flowers when my mother passed away. This Jessica person doesn't even know what our quality issue involves." "She'll learn." David, I've been in business for 25 years. I know the difference between someone who cares about my company and someone who's just doing a job. If you're not handling our account anymore, I need to reconsider our relationship with Westfield. After Martha hung up, I sat in my office thinking about loyalty. For 30 years, I'd been loyal to Westfield Industries. I'd turned down job offers from competitors, worked through family vacations, and missed my daughter's graduation to close a critical deal. My computer pinged with an email from Tom Morrison. David, got a meeting request from Jessica Walsh for a video conference about our renewal. I told you I don't do video meetings for important business. What's going on? Then another email from Robert Chin. Who is this Jessica person calling about our Pacific Ventures account? I told her I only work with people I trust, and I've never heard of her. I leaned back in my chair and realized something Harrison had completely overlooked. He could promote Jessica to regional director, but he couldn't transfer 30 years of trust and personal relationships with a job title. Those relationships belonged to me. And if Westfield Industries didn't value my loyalty anymore, maybe it was time to find someone who did. The phone call that destroyed Harrison's week came at 7:30 on Wednesday morning. I was sipping coffee in my kitchen when my work phone buzzed with his panicked voice. David, get to my office now. Morrison Industries just canceled their contract. I drove to work calmly, knowing exactly what I'd find. Harrison paced behind his desk like a caged animal, sweat beading on his forehead despite the air conditioning. Jessica sat hunched in a chair, her confident smile from Monday replaced with shell-shocked confusion. What happened with Morrison? Harrison demanded the moment I walked in. I sat down slowly, maintaining eye contact. You'd have to ask Jessica. She's the regional director now. Jessica's voice cracked. I sent Tom Morrison our new digital contract renewal system. It's much more efficient than those in-person meetings you insisted on. But he got angry and said he'd never work with people who don't respect his business style. You sent him a digital form? I asked quietly. It saves time. Everything can be done electronically. Harrison's face turned red. Tom Morrison has been our biggest client for 12 years. His account is worth $8 million annually. I followed modern business practices, Jessica protested. David's methods are outdated. I pulled out my phone and showed Harrison the missed calls. Tom called me 6 times yesterday. He wanted to discuss concerns about the Henderson quality issue before making any decisions about his contract renewal. Why didn't you tell me? Harrison snapped. I'm not the regional director anymore. Remember? Silence filled the room like poison. Harrison's jaw twitched as he realized his mistake. He'd stripped me of authority but expected me to clean up problems created by his poor judgment. Fix this, he ordered. Call Tom and smooth things over. I shook my head. I can't make business decisions for Jessica's department. That would be overstepping my new role. David, don't play games with me. I'm not playing games. I'm respecting the chain of command you created. My phone rang. Martha Henderson. I answered on speaker. David, I need to speak with you about ending our contract with Westfield. This Jessica person sent me another form email about our legal issue. She clearly doesn't understand the situation, and frankly, I don't trust anyone who handles serious problems with copy and paste responses. Harrison's eyes widened. Henderson Industries was worth $6 million annually. Martha, I said carefully, you should probably discuss this with Jessica. She's handling all regional accounts now. I don't want to work with Jessica. I want to work with you. If you're not managing our account, we're done with Westfield. After Martha hung up, Harrison slammed his fist on the desk. This is insane. These clients are being unreasonable. Are they? I asked. Or are they responding to how they've been treated? Jessica looked near tears. I did everything by the book. I used best practices. Best practices don't build relationships, I said gently. Tom Morrison's wife had cancer last year. I visited her in the hospital. Martha Henderson's company nearly went bankrupt 5 years ago, and I restructured their payment plan to keep them afloat. Robert Chen only does business with people he can trust personally. That's not professional, Jessica protested. That's exactly what professional means. These aren't just accounts. They're people. Harrison's phone rang. His face went pale as he answered. Yes, sir. I understand. Yes, sir. He hung up and looked at us with defeat in his eyes. That was the board. They want a meeting this afternoon about the client losses. I stood up. Well, I'm sure you and Jessica can handle it. I have a dentist appointment. David, wait. We need to talk. About what? You made your decision. Jessica is the regional director. Let her direct. As I walked toward the door, Harrison's voice cracked with desperation. Don't do this to me, David. I turned back one last time. I'm not doing anything to you, Harrison. I'm just letting Jessica run the department the way she wants to run it. But that wasn't entirely true. Because while Jessica was sending form emails and digital contracts, I'd been having very different conversations, the kind that happened after work hours, away from company phones and email servers, the kind that would finish what Harrison had started. Friday afternoon brought the meeting I'd been expecting all week. Harrison called me into his office with the desperation of a drowning man reaching for a life preserver. Jessica wasn't there this time. Word around the office was that she'd spent Thursday crying in the bathroom after losing 3 more client accounts. David, I need you to be honest with me, Harrison said, his usual arrogance replaced by raw fear. Are you sabotaging Jessica? I sat across from his desk with perfect calm. How could I sabotage her? I don't have any authority in her department. The clients, they're all asking for you specifically. That's natural. I've worked with them for years. Harrison leaned forward. Pacific Ventures, Chen Industries, Blackstone Corp., they've all terminated their contracts this week. That's $24 million in annual revenue. I'm sorry to hear that. Sorry? His voice rose. David, you built those relationships. You can fix this. I tilted my head. I thought my methods were outdated. Traditional. Remember? The color drained from Harrison's face as his own words came back to haunt him. I may have spoken too quickly. You said Jessica brought fresh perspectives and innovation. You said experience makes people stuck in old patterns. I was wrong. Were you? Because Jessica implemented exactly what you wanted. Digital efficiency, modern approaches, streamlined processes. Harrison's hands shook as he reached for his coffee cup. The board is furious. They want explanations. Then give them one. Tell them you promoted your most qualified candidate. David, please. What do you want? A raise? Better title? Corner office. I stood up slowly. You can't give me what I want, Harrison. Try me. Respect. You can't give me 30 years of respect with a better parking space. His face crumpled. So what happens now? I walked to his window and looked out at the parking lot where I'd been coming to work for 3 decades. Now you live with your decision. Are you quitting? No. I'm staying right here, watching Jessica implement all those innovative ideas you love so much. Harrison's phone buzzed. He answered with shaking hands. Yes? What? When? He hung up and stared at me with pure horror. Robert Chen just signed with Preston and Associate. That's a $12 million account. I nodded thoughtfully. Preston's been growing quickly. Good reputation. You know about Preston? I know a lot of things. For instance, I know that Tom Morrison is meeting with them next Tuesday. Martha Henderson has a lunch scheduled with their CEO on Wednesday. How do you know that? I smiled. Because they called to ask me about Preston's capabilities. Apparently, word gets around when experienced executives join new companies. Harrison's jaw dropped. You're going to Preston. I start Monday. Senior Vice President of Client Relations. They're opening a West Coast division. You can't do this to me. I'm not doing anything to you. I'm making a career move that values my experience. David, be reasonable. We can match their offer. I walked to the door, then paused. Harrison, you had 30 years to make me an offer that showed you valued my work. Instead, you gave my promotion to an intern at my own anniversary party. That was a mistake. Yes, it was. But not just for the reasons you think. What do you mean? I turned back one final time. You didn't just promote Jessica over me. You promoted her over 30 years of client relationships, institutional knowledge, and personal trust that can't be transferred with a job title. Those clients will come back. No, they won't. Because they're not leaving Westfield Industries. They're following me. Harrison's face went white. You're stealing our clients. I'm not stealing anyone. I'm simply going where I'm valued, and my clients are choosing to work with people they trust. I opened the door, then delivered the final blow. Oh, and Harrison? You should probably know that 6 more clients called me this morning. They're very interested in learning about Preston and Associates. David, wait. But I was already walking away, leaving Harrison alone with the consequences of believing that loyalty could be replaced with innovation and that experience was less valuable than fresh ideas. 3 months later, I heard that Harrison had been forced to resign. Jessica transferred to a different department after lasting only 6 weeks as regional director. The West Coast division I'd built from nothing was struggling to keep half their remaining clients. At Preston and Associates, I had my own corner office, a team that respected my experience, and 18 former Westfield clients who'd followed me because they valued relationships over corporate restructuring. Sometimes the best revenge is simply showing people what they lost when they stopped appreciating what they had.